If you want to get into uni but you're not sure that you meet the entry requirements, then you've come to the right place. Whether you have a low ATAR or you graduated high school ages ago or you had no ATAR at all, this video will help you find a pathway into your dream degree. So how can you find the best pathway for you and for your unique situation? Today we're going to go over the 5 main pathways, and then we're also going to look at a pathways checklist so that you know exactly what to look for when picking your own pathway. There are so many different pathway opportunities, so many in fact, that I can pretty much guarantee that you will be able to find a pathway no matter what your situation is. We have broken them down into 5 main categories, and for each category we'll compare entry requirements, price, duration, content, qualification, and directness. Directness being how direct is the pathway into the degree. The first category is non-award study. You can study individual university subjects without actually being admitted into a degree. So basically, non-award study lets you start studying individual subjects within the degree you're interested in without actually ever gaining entry into that degree or having to meet the entry requirements. But as the name suggests, when you study non-award units, you won't come out with any qualification or any award. Some universities offer their own non-award pathways, like the Next Step pathway at Macquarie University, and some universities offer a non-award pathway through Open Universities Australia or OUA. OUA is like an online marketplace of universities, degrees and subjects. As well as letting you study certain degrees completely online, OUA lets you study individual subjects from multiple different universities at the same time. So basically, you're not confined to one university and to a single degree, you can mix and match. The only entry requirement to OUA is an age requirement. Anyone over the age of 13 can start studying at OUA. Normally these pathways operate in the following way. You study 2 to 4 individual subjects through OUA, and depending on your grades, you can study the full degree at university. Often you'll need a credit or distinction average in order to get an offer for the full degree. Sometimes, and it all depends on the university you're applying to, but sometimes your offer can be guaranteed so long as you complete the program and achieve a certain grade. But whether the offer is guaranteed or you still need to go through the application process through QTAC or UAC or VTAC really depends on the university, and you have to make sure you check this. One of the benefits of doing non-award study as a pathway is that often you can claim those individual units as credit. So you can apply for something called recognition of prior learning and get those individual units brought across into your new degree, therefore reducing the time you have to study in your new degree. A non-award pathway can vary between 1 semester to 2 semesters or longer, depending on how many units you have to study and how many units you study at one time. If you go with a non-award pathway, the fees will vary depending on the program and the individual subjects that you pick. So in some cases, because you aren't in an award or you're not admitted into a degree, you won't be eligible for Commonwealth support, so you'll be paying the full fees. And you also won't be eligible for HECS help, so you'll need to pay your fees up front. However, in some circumstances, for example, some individual subjects via OUA are offered at a Commonwealth supported price, and you're also able to defer that onto a help loan. So it's really important to check the fees because it really will vary depending on the non-award pathway that you choose, the university you are going with, and the individual subjects that you choose as well. The non-award pathway is great for any mature age students who haven't studied in a long time, or any students who didn't get an ATAR at all, as well as for those students who didn't get their required ATAR to get into their dream degree. So this pathway is really an all-rounder pathway suited to most people looking at getting into university. And the second category that we will be looking at is enabling programs. Now, these are sometimes called tertiary preparation programs or foundation studies. Enabling programs are designed for students who didn't complete year 12 or won't be receiving an ATAR at all. But they can also sometimes be used for students who haven't studied in a while and those who just didn't quite get the required mark. So for example, some enabling programs will allow the student to obtain a selection rank, or some will allow the student to meet the minimum subject requirements, for example, the minimum English requirements. Some simply allow the student to gain the study skills that are required in order to succeed at university. Skills like writing an essay or doing research and preparing for exams. Generally, they are up to 1 year in duration. In terms of entry requirements, usually there is a minimum age requirement and some sort of written application, like a portfolio or a written response. And some of these enabling programs will allow you direct entry into a course at that same university. What I mean by this is that you won't have to go through the application process through UAC, QTAC, VTAC, whichever state you're in. And at other times, the completion of an enabling program will simply allow you to put in an application. And in these cases, your grades, your results of the enabling program will be assessed in that application. Normally, the completion of an enabling program at one institution will at least be considered at another institution. However, they often don't guarantee you a place, so you definitely can't assume that these enabling programs will gain you entry at every institution. Enabling programs can be entirely free or they can be fee paying, and sometimes these fees can be quite high, up to $15,000 to $30,000. So it is super important that you check the cost of these programs and compare the price before just jumping in and enrolling at the first one that you look at. Often the enabling programs are not an AQF level program, and this means that you don't receive an AQF award, such as a Certificate 3, 4, diploma, etc. As such, often the enabling programs can't be then counted towards your final degree, and so this means that they might add on a little bit of extra time to your overall qualification. The main drawcard for these enabling programs is the relatively low entry requirement and the extra added support that you're often given as a student in regards to study skills. These programs often come attached with small class sizes and a lot of one-on-one time with your tutor. So this provides you a lot more academic support when compared to other pathways. The next pathway option is a university-based certificate or diploma. Similar to the enabling program option, if you complete a certificate, it's usually a certificate 4 or a diploma or higher at a university. This can often guarantee you entry into the degree. The way this pathway progresses is that you complete an AQF level program like a certificate for a diploma or an associate's degree at that institution, and then this leads you into the degree with that same institution. Some universities have these set up as direct pathways. So once you've completed your AQF level qualification, you can bypass the UAC, QTAC, VTAC application and go straight into the degree. And sometimes you can even enter into the second year of your degree. And this is because the program that you've just studied is the equivalent to the first year of your degree. So you just fully bypass that first year and jump straight in at the second year. This kind of pathway is awesome because you're really not losing any time whatsoever. The duration of the pathway will often vary depending on the actual course that you're completing, as well as whether you're studying part-time or full-time. But often they're anywhere between 1 semester or a year. And again, the courses vary in cost across different institutions. So some may be completely free and some may cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So make sure you do your research and compare the programs so that you're not getting ripped off. This type of pathway is particularly great because it can save you a lot of time and money, especially when it gets counted towards your end qualification. They're often suited to students who just missed out on that required selection rank or may have studied Year 12 a long time ago. The next one you've probably heard of is TAFE. If you complete a TAFE program, so a certificate or a diploma, often you can use this to apply to university. Some universities have a partnership with TAFE, so they have a direct pathway option where if you complete a program with TAFE, then you'll be guaranteed a spot in their degree. Where a university doesn't have this sort of partnership set up, often they will take a certificate 4 or higher as mode of application. But not all universities and not all degrees accept a Cert 4 or even a diploma. So again, make sure you check this before jumping in and enrolling in a Cert 4 or a diploma, thinking that it's going to get you into your dream degree. In terms of cost, the government often subsidises TAFE qualification. So you can either get it completely for free or significantly fee reduced. Remember as well that because it's an AQF level qualification, often you can apply for recognition of prior learning and have your certificate or diploma counted towards your degree. Now we're on to degree-specific pathways. Some degrees at some universities have their own designated specific pathway, something like a pre-law pathway. They often require you to study certain subjects and receive a certain grade, and then they'll allow you to transfer into that degree. Some degree-specific pathways are short-term, so they might be like a mini 6-week to 7-week course, or some take up the duration of a whole year. It really depends on the university and the degree that you're entering into. Depending on how it's offered, if it's a short mini course, normally these are priced individually and the price can range from a couple of $100s to a couple of $1,000. If it's formatted in a more degree-like manner and you're studying over the course of a year, maybe in a different program to begin with, then often they are charged the same rate as standard university fees. So if you have a specific degree in mind, definitely keep an eye out for any pathways that might be related specifically to that degree. And the very last one is the internal transfer. And so this one is where basically you start in one degree, a degree that has a lower entry requirement, and you study some subjects in that degree, you gain a certain grade, and then you internally transfer into your dream degree, the degree that you actually want to be studying. This method is great as well because the units that you studied in your first degree can often be transferred across to your second, and therefore it's no added time or cost. Normally an internal transfer will take you anywhere between 1 semester or a year to complete. It's important to remember that as well as pathways, there are also many different modes of entry. So instead of just the simple get an ATAR, apply through UAC, QTAC, VTAC, there are other entry schemes as well. Something like the STAT test or an entry scheme, an early entry scheme, a portfolio entry, or using adjustment factors. We'll go through all of these different alternative entries in another video, but they're really important to keep in mind if you are looking at different ways that you can get into your dream degree. So how do you pick which pathway is for you? Let's have a look at the pathways checklist. So here are a few questions that you can ask yourself and the university before committing to a particular pathway. The first question that I would be asking is, what are the entry requirements and how do I apply? The second is, what does this pathway involve? What's the content? How often do I need to study? Am I studying online or on campus? And what will my routine look like? The third is, how long will this pathway take me to complete? Will it add a significant amount of time to my overall qualification, or will I be able to count it towards my degree? The fourth one is a very important one, and it is, how much does this pathway cost? Is it more expensive than other pathways at other universities that will have the same end result? Can I defer my fees onto a help loan, or do I need to pay them up front immediately? The fifth question is, what sort of qualification will I get through this pathway, if any? Is it an AQF level program? Is it non-award, or is it simply an enabling program? And the final question is, how direct is this pathway? Will it gain me direct entry into the degree on completion, or do I still need to apply via UAC or QTAC or VTAC? And once I finish this pathway program, can I apply immediately for my dream degree, or is there another step involved? For example, do I need to do an internal transfer to get into my dream degree? So hopefully once answering these questions, you'll have more of an idea on which pathway will be best suited to you and your situation, and which one will get you to your dream qualification most efficiently and with the least cost. If you want to see exactly how Connor got into university with no ATAR at all using a pathway, then you can check out the video that I've linked above and watch his story. As always, if you have any questions about your situation or a course that you're looking at or a pathway program and you need any help at all, just pop them in the comments below and we will be sure to help you out. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and we will see you in the next one.